All right, thank you. Thank you very much, Debbie. And first of all, I want to echo her comments. Thank you so much to everyone for being here today, and everyone at the arena, Mr. Mayor, and everybody else here in the business community that I've had the pleasure of already meeting with. Without your support, we probably wouldn't be making the decision. My name is Andreas Johansson. As Debbie said, I'm the owner of the team, and I'm sure over the next weeks and months and whatnot, I'll get to know all of you better, and I really look forward to that. As of last week, the cat kind of left the bag already, right, that the team was coming in, and we've already had a lot of very positive feedback, and we are super excited to say that hockey is coming back to the Lander Center. From October of this year, we're launching a new expansion team in the FPHL, Federal Prospect Hockey League. It's going to be the 15th team in a league that's now been running for, Mr. Kernan might correct me later, but I think it's 17 years, right? So very stable, growing very aggressively, and geographically, we're in a great spot to do it. I've had the pleasure of owning teams for 7 years now. I bought and sold a small market team in Watertown, New York, and I own the team in Binghamton, New York, that's now been going for 5 years. And I think that we can take a lot of what's been successful elsewhere and apply that here. The beauty of our league is it's not really just about the hockey. I would say it's not even that much about the hockey. It's about the entertainment, getting the whole family out here, and the bond that forms between the players and the fans, and I would say even the hockey club and the fans and the community, is really what has made our league successful and being able to succeed in places where perhaps other leagues couldn't do it. And we really look forward to building on that here and being very visible and trying to be a force for good out in the community as a whole. I mean, that's kind of the whole ethos and the point of what the league's been doing elsewhere and what has worked elsewhere. So we really look forward to really getting on a grassroots level and get to know everybody out in the community. We aim to obviously attract a lot of the old River Kings fans back into the building, but we also believe that we can attract a lot of new fans that maybe either were too young or just didn't come to a game back then for whatever reason. I think that's something we're proud of being able to have done elsewhere, where we get new hockey fans to come out. I think you'll be encouraged by the ticket pricing. We're actually launching the availability for season tickets as of today. MidSouthProHockey.com. Please check that out as soon as you can. We have season tickets as low as $308 for 28-game season, so $11 a game. I think with that strategy, we think that we're going to be able to attract a lot of fans that maybe for whatever reason haven't been able to go to a game before, and they'll come out and give us a shot. And I think once they're here, they're going to obviously enjoy the product. And if you do visit our website, which you all I'm sure will be doing, I really hope you will, we're also doing a name the team contest that we're going to run for next few weeks, and then we're going to come up with, pick the best name, do all of our branding, and we'll definitely do another announcement when that time is here. We kind of know we have to go with Mid-South. Like, I know coming in, people said don't do Memphis, but also don't do Mississippi, because you're going to alienate people either way. So go with Mid-South. So we're going to do that, but we definitely have a lot of flexibility, so we're very open to hearing ideas. Being here too, it's kind of funny. Like, our league has grown tremendously in the South. Where we are now, we're going to have great rivalries with teams in Biloxi, Baton Rouge, two Georgia teams in Columbus and Athens, and I think Monroe, Louisiana are all within like a reasonable travel distance, which it's great for our players and it's great for building rivalries, but also for restaurants, hotels, the community as a whole, because fans, especially at a minor league level, they really get attached to their teams. So we feel pretty good about having fans coming in from elsewhere to spend a weekend here and get to experience more than just the arena. So it's actually a great spot and a great time for us to be doing this now. And obviously with all the money you guys are putting into the facility, like, this is such a top-notch building where, we'll certainly be the awe of other teams and players to coming in here. So it's a wonderful opportunity. And again, I want to thank everyone that's been involved in this process. Like, we've got through it extremely quickly. Like, working with Joel and his team has been a pleasure. And I think everybody understood what is needed to have a team successful and sustainable. And we really appreciate that. And I think we'll be able to repay you for that confidence by bringing something in. You know, we know we're coming into a market where you already have the Grizzlies, the Hustle, the Redbirds, and obviously the University of Memphis. So we know that the appetite for great teams is here, and we know there's a culture of sport, and we look forward to going on this journey. We got a lot of work ahead of us, and definitely daunting, especially now there's no turning back anymore. So, but I'm really excited for it. And again, thank you so much for being here. I'm going to be here for the rest of the day, so I'm sure a lot of you will have a lot of questions.
The Power Play Post Show is on the air, covering minor league hockey since 2003, and now covering the Binghamton Black Bears with news, reactions, and in-depth interviews only heard here. And now, from the Box Studios in Kirkwood, New York, here are your hosts of the Power Play Post Show, Bob Howard and Taylor Welch.
And hello, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Power Play Post Show. This is the show for March 26, 2026. This is season 15, episode number 56, and episode number 570 in the long-running podcast that is the Power Play Post Show. Hello, everyone. I am Bob Howard. She is
Taylor Welch.
And she has not gone off hinged yet, but she just might tonight, as we've got obviously some major stories happening in the world of the Binghamton Black Bears and, of course, of the FPHL. And really, the Black Bears are really not involved in this at all, but we will be talking about, obviously, what you just heard, which was the press conference, 6 minutes of Andreas Johansson talking about owning a second team in the FPHL. And, there's been a lot of reaction online, of course, for this. I think some people might be overreacting. I think some people have been very supportive of Andreas. And from everything that I know about the operation in Binghamton and how things have been run, he's not here anyways, right? That's one of the things. I know it's something that you really wanted to say because it's something that you're going to hear in the interview in just a little bit with Andreas. Is like, he's barely here anyways right now, right? So, Taylor, your thoughts, first of all, a little bit on the announcement that Andreas is involved with a second team in the FPHL, which is going to be played at the Lander Center in Memphis, Tennessee, or / South Haven, Mississippi. Because it's a suburb, basically. It's across the border in Mississippi. Your thoughts on, first of all, him being a part of a new team in the Fed?
I think it's awesome. It's almost relieving in the sense that Andreas is kind of doing something like this because you just know that team's going to succeed.
Right.
It's something that you kind of look at him and everything that he has done, which is something that when you listen to the interview, which I just want to take a second to say, to the fans, how lucky they are to have somebody like you who goes out and does these types of interviews, because Andreas actually reached out to you and asked you to do this. And he didn't have to do that. No. You didn't have to do that, but you both sat down and you talked about this. And that's why, I've already been able to listen to the interview and it was fantastic. I loved everything about it. I loved the way that you guys talked about things. I love how open and honest and just transparent Andreas is about everything that he's doing and what he's done and kind of how things are going to work.
Yeah.
And it just kind of, the fact that he was able and wanted to come on the show to address the fans, for the fans that are kind of, they're worried about what's going to happen, or they're worried that, he did this in Watertown and then he dropped Watertown. Watertown and Binghamton are very different teams. They're very different arenas. They're very different,
markets.
Watertown loses a bunch of money. Mm-hmm. Binghamton doesn't. And that's the huge difference right there. And the amount of things that Andreas actually does in his own life, the hockey part, is just something that he does because he loves it.
Yeah.
And his kids have always been around it, type of thing. So to kind of see that Andreas is the one doing it, I think it's awesome. I think it's relieving. like every year it's like we keep growing the league, but then you turn around and, well, we grew 2 teams, but we lost 2 teams, or we're growing 4 teams, but we still lost 2 teams. So it's this whole back and forth thing that keeps happening. And yeah, I'm not worried at all that Andreas has taken on another team. Go ahead.
I was going to say, well, if anything, him taking on another team after seeing the success of the Black Bears for the past 5 years, and let's be honest, he started this team just as COVID was, in its second year, and he's grown it to the point where this upcoming Friday, we're going to see the 11th sellout this season in a 28-game season, right? You're getting close to the point where you could almost say half of the season has been sold out in Binghamton. And guess what? Andreas hasn't been there. Andreas had, his wife had health issues. He wasn't here for 3 months, right? Because he couldn't be. He had to take care of his family like any other person would have to go take care of their family. Andreas wasn't here. But the reason why this team still succeed is because there are good, hard-working people that do things the right way. There's the key to it. Doing things the right way. Plus, Andreas understands you cannot just bring somebody into an organization and say, hey, you're going to work for free, and maybe if everything catches on, we're going to pay you. He understands he has to hire a couple people. He's already made the first hire, technically, but we'll talk about that when we're allowed to really talk about that. He's already made the first hire. Okay, so literally he's already agreed with somebody. They're going to go down there and work, and they're going to do a particular job, and there you go. So again, I think the reason why I'm comfortable with this is because this isn't a fly by the night type of person that we don't know anything about. What we know about Andreas' kind of legacy as an owner, we've seen it the last 5 years here in Binghamton, and I think that team down there is in a better place because Andreas is the one that's going to be making the decisions on who to hire, who to bring in, how to talk to, how to set up an organization to work with the community, because that's one of the things he talked about in the interview that fans are going to get to hear, right, Taylor, is about how do you take this team and integrate it into the community. And it's something that they've done so good here. I think they're going to be fine down there too.
Yeah, and I mean, another point is I kind of want people to understand that I wouldn't be surprised if, him putting in this team that, oh, well, he might spend the entire season down there next year. Binghamton's been established. They've been here for 5 seasons already. He's basically built something so good in Binghamton. It's practically self-running with the people he's got in the office, the people he's got in the coaching staff, and just everybody surrounding them. And that's where we are so fortunate to have somebody like Andreas, who you're going to hear in the interview kind of talk about, he's taken a huge step back to let other people do the things that they need to do to run a successful business. Yeah. Because, you've talked to Brant, and he's talked to other coaches that have had issues with the owners because they do stuff behind their back, or they make trades that they don't know about. And, stuff like that happens in this league. Where the owners and the coaches aren't on the same page, or they're not talking to one another. And Andreas just basically let Brant do what he needs to do. He is so confident in Brant that he doesn't need to have a say. He's like, you do what you need to do, and I'll take care of it on whatever end I need to. And I think that's something that is so awesome. And that's something that again, Andreas isn't here that much to begin with. Yeah. And I feel like people don't know that. Yeah. He really has such a step away from the arena that it's so like self-efficient to the point where he doesn't need to be here all the time. And that's something that he has created. Mm-hmm. So to see him go to another arena or to go to another team and build something up does not surprise me at all. If anything, it doesn't worry me at all.
If anything, it's going to help the league more than anything. We'll talk more about this in just a little bit. All right. But before we dive into tonight's show, let's remind you that the 11x14 poster giveaway is back again this week. We are weeks into running the poster giveaway, and your response has been awesome. Taylor, has it been awesome?
It has been. And if you're the winner this week, I'm going to give away 3 posters.
What? Wait. I don't know about this.
Because I have last week's winner, because we didn't have a home game that I could do.
Yeah.
I have the Wyatt Friedlander one from Kelly because she wasn't at the last home game, and then I'll have this week's winner.
Is she going to be there this Friday? Do you know?
I don't know. I haven't actually talked to her yet.
Oh, okay.
So we could have up to 3 posters to give away this week.
There's a lot of pictures that are going to be taken. That's crazy.
A lot of pictures.
So, and again, we are doing it again here on this episode. As some point during tonight's show, we're going to drop a secret code phrase. When you hear it, that is your cue to send it directly to Taylor in a direct message on Facebook. And I can tell you right now, I've never played into the whole fan group type of code phrase when doing the code phrases, but I definitely did tonight. Did you like it?
Oh yeah. This one, it was, I was trying to figure out where it was. So I read through the whole outline and I found it and I was like, it definitely makes sense for this week. And fans, once you get there, you'll definitely understand. And I'm sure a bunch of you are going to appreciate it.
Yes, I think you are as well. All right. Taylor will be watching the inbox. And if you're the winning message number tonight, you'll score an 11x14 Binghamton Black Bears player poster of your choice, ready for pickup at an upcoming home game, which could be this Friday if you so choose. So stay locked in, don't zone out, and be ready, because it's your time to annoy Taylor tomorrow by sending her all these messages, which will be great, because the code phrase could come at any time. But it's going to be later on in the show. I can tell you that right now.
Yeah, and I promise you, I don't get annoyed with messages. It's actually a lot of fun. Most people will send me the code phrase, and then we'll sit there and have a back and forth conversation for quite a while before it ever stops being a conversation.
The only thing
everybody so far has been super nice and just saying how much they appreciate the show. So it truly has been awesome.
The only thing that's annoying is actually to me, because you don't tell me soon enough, are we close? Are we close? I want to know what's going on.
I know. I've been keeping you out of the box so much. It's so funny.
It is. All right.
All right, Black Bear fans, do us a quick favor. If you're watching on YouTube, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and ring the notification bell so you never miss an episode of the show. And if you're listening on Spotify, make sure you're following the podcast and leaving us a rating. It's completely free to do, takes 2 seconds, and it tells YouTube and Spotify to push the show out to Binghamton Black Bear fans and more hockey fans just like you. Drop a comment, too. We read them, and we love hearing from you.
We really do, honestly. The Power Play Post is available on all major podcast platforms. Don't forget this: Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Pocket Cast, YouTube, Amazon Music, and iHeartRadio. Just search Power Play Post Show on your favorite app, and please don't forget to subscribe. Join the conversation on Facebook. We got so many people over the last 24 hours joining the Power Play Post Show Facebook group. Thank you very much for joining. I know Taylor sent out a little thing saying, hey, there's going to be this press conference. You're going to want to know about it. Come over. And you guys came over. Thank you very much for being a part of our community. It's really appreciative. Looking for everything Binghamton Hockey, visit binghamtonhockey.net, your go-to source for stats, history, and all things Binghamton Hockey. And coming up, you already know this, coming up on this episode of the Power Play Post Show, owner of the Binghamton Black Bears and now the Mid-South Pro Hockey team, Andreas Johansson. So we're really excited about that. Okay, so Taylor, yesterday, I did a small video talking about the potential of the MVP of the league this year. And in there, I kind of talked a little bit about CJ Stubbs, Tyler Barrow, and whether or not, who should be the MVP of the league. Because the league over the past few years has kind of snubbed, I think, the Black Bears a little bit. I get it. You want to spread the wealth around a little bit. But, Brant Sherwood hasn't won a coach of the year. We haven't seen a lot of the awards come from the league. So could CJ Stubbs or Dominic Tomei win MVP of the league this season? Stubbs has 38 goals, 52 assists for 90 points, respectable, plus 36 rating, 12 power play goals, 5 shorthanded goals, and 9 game-winning goals. Tomei, the best goaltender in the league, probably next to Carter McPhail and Riley Cooper from the Port Huron Prowlers. Tomei's got an impressive 25-2-1 record with a 1.95 goals against average, a 928 save percentage. Other than the 25 wins, the goals against and the save percentage are single season highs right now, or bests right now. for the Binghamton Black Bears. Could Ivan Bondarenko be an MVP contender with 72 assists, 10 more than the next closest, who is technically Tyler Barrow, who is got the most points in the league right now with 100. Coach of the Year conversation, finally, for Brant Sherwood. Let's talk about this for a few seconds. I did the video because I was testing some new software that I wanted to do, and I put it out there. And, some people listened to it, and I got a couple messages from people about it. And I said in the video that most likely they're going to go with a stat-driven thing, right? Where because he's got the most stats, he's got the most points, Tyler Burrow from the Columbus Wow, I did this again. Columbus River Dragons, not the Blue Jackets, but the River Dragons, because he has 100 points, and he'll probably be well over 100 points by the time the end of the season is, that he will most likely win it. But even though CJ Stubbs and Dominic Tomei are probably the MVPs of the Binghamton Black Bears, I don't know, with the amount of great players we have throughout the whole lineup, that either one of them can win it.
Yeah, it's definitely a hard one to kind of look at. I mean, in my opinion, I would give it to Stubbs. I mean, he's led that category, several categories, the entire year.
Right.
And it wasn't until last week where Tyler Barrow kind of slid in there and he's got the most points. So I do understand what you're saying with the whole stat thing, but for me, if you're gonna give somebody MVP, it isn't about just looking at the number at the end of the year. You have to look at them through the entire year.
He carried this
team. So for me, exactly. Like if you look at Stubbs, he has not only, led the team with points and the goals and the things that he's done, but he's also led just about every category you could possibly come up with, except for the goalie stats on the league website. He's been a leader in, I think, every single one of them, and he was the top leader for basically the entire season.
And Taylor, if I throw this point out at you, I want to get your reaction to it. When Tyson Kirkby was out, and he was out for 2 months, I think probably people in this league thought, okay, the Black Bears are now beatable. They're now the team that we can take down, because let's be honest, Tyson Kirkby is like the heart, the soul, the grit, the fire, the guy that pisses everybody off. All those things rolled into one, and has been a big reason why they've won championships. Now, he's not the only reason why he's won championships, but he's a big reason why, right? Being the captain, being part of the leadership group. The guy can score goals when you need them, when most people can't do that. He has the intangibles. He was out for 2 months. I guarantee you there were people in this league not celebrating his injury, but really hoping that the Black Bears would go on a losing streak. That never happened. And why did that not happen? I truly believe Connor McAnanama, Dominic Tomei, the defense played well, but it was because CJ Stubbs, in my opinion, put the team on his shoulders and had a phenomenal season from the start all the way to the end.
Yeah, it's something that, we've kind of talked about, on and off throughout this season is, you look at somebody like CJ Stubbs compared to last season.
Yeah.
Last season, it took him a very long time to get that monkey off his back and start getting points on a regular basis. Where this season, you'd be shocked if he went a game without getting points.
Right.
And it's just something where, he's been so phenomenal this season. And, a great test to that is Brant Sherwood himself was like, I didn't know how to teach somebody who played better than me.
Yeah.
And then you bring in Coach Q, and now all of a sudden look at what CJ's doing.
But
it's one of those phenomenal things. And even to the point of, Tyson was out for a couple months, but he was still on that bench. He was still being a leader. So he was still having that impact on the game. He just wasn't out there scoring the points, and Stubbs was able to go out there and do that. Mm-hmm. He was able to go out there and carry this team. And it's just like, there are so many people on this team that are the leaders, and that like these players can turn around and look up to, and, all that kind of stuff. And, you have even like Andreas talks about this in the interview. And it's something that I really liked about his interview was him talking about the team. And you have these guys like CJ Stubbs and Ivan Bondarenko and Mac Jansen. And then you have these young guys, you have like this huge difference in the lines, But yet he's like, if you take any one of those guys out of the line, it doesn't matter if you take a vet or somebody who's brand new. If you could take a college kid out and throw them in the top line, and they're still going to produce like they're the best team, because they are. They truly, truly are.
Yeah.
And yeah, so for me, without a doubt, I would give it to Stubbs. And I know that kind of sounds like I'm being biased, but at the same time, look at who has led the leaderboard the entire season up until like last week.
I think it was
I don't think Tyler Barrow came into the sign until like a week or two ago.
Right. It was when CJ Stubbs got the 2-game suspension, right? That slowed down his production just a little bit, not because he stopped scoring, but because he was out those 2 games. And then I think Tyler just got hot and kept getting hot and kept getting hot. And then he surpassed him. But, you know, if I objectively look at this and I look at it, the one thing that I think keeps Brant from maybe winning Coach of the Year and maybe CJ from getting MVP of the season from the league is the simple fact that there is no team that is deeper. And you just talked about that. Andreas talked about it. There's no team that is deeper in this league than the Binghamton Black Bears. And that makes it tough for these guys to do that. Now, remember a conversation that we had earlier in the season when I said that last year Garrett Milan was the best player in the league, and it pissed off Ivan Bondarenko. Not that he was mad at me, not that he was like angrily mad at me and wanted to beat me up, but he did not like the fact that I said that Garrett Milan was the best player in the league, when he was pretty confident that it was somebody here on the Binghamton Black Bears. And again, you look at the numbers, and CJ Stubbs across the board is right there with everybody, either beating them like in shorthanded goals, game-winning goals, power play goals. He's only a few off of the lead, which I think is Ryan Hunter with 15. He's literally there with every single person, and he carried a team when the star player on the team was injured for 2 months. I think it's there, but I can also see the side where it says, well, no, it's the deepest team in the league. So I think it's a great conversation. I think it's an interesting conversation.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. And to the other point about Coach of the Year, I think it would be absolutely silly for them to go a third year, especially if they go through and win it again, to not give it to Brant Sherwood. That's just, again, that maybe I'm being biased, who knows, but if you look at what Brant has done the past couple years and what he has done this season, it's almost like he's a completely different person, but not in like a negative way. True. Like if we were talking about Brant Sherwood of 2 seasons ago and you asked the Danbury coach how he felt about him, he'd probably name every swear word in the book and go up and down him about like all of his dislikes.
That's fair.
I feel like if you went to him this year, they would actually have an understanding for each other.
Yeah.
I feel like the way that Brant has carried himself this season and the fact that he hasn't been suspended and hasn't been fined and hasn't done, all the things that was the Brant Sherwood of 2 seasons ago that got in trouble in Danbury for kicking a trash can type of stuff. Like, that's not who we've seen this season. And, even Brant himself was like, Q's on that bench. He's, he's really keeping me grounded. Or, you can see that Brant is so unaffected by the little trivial things that really got him fired up, a couple seasons ago and even, last season. I know I should probably bring this up when we talk about Andreas again after the interview. But I had a small conversation today with Brant Sherwood. As every once in a while, when there's a big thing that happens, I might reach out to him. He always answers the call or calls me back, gets in touch with me pretty quickly. Well, I answer the phone. I say hello, and he goes, "Hey, Bob, how's it going?" And everything. I said, "Good." And then I said, "Well, what'd you think?" And he goes, "Oh, about Memphis?" He goes, "Oh, I think this is great." He goes, "I was there. I'm very supportive of it." And then when we talked a little bit about, the separation and having 2 teams, he goes, "We're going to be great here." Brant Sherwood literally talked to me in just 5 minutes. It wasn't even that long of a conversation because I didn't want to keep him on. I was going to eat dinner and, it was after 5 o'clock. He is already thinking about next year for the Binghamton Black Bears.
And that just tells you how dedicated he is to this team being successful next year. And I can tell you right now, he'll have guys lined up that even if Brant Sherwood gets his dream job in the ECHL for next season, he will have guys lined up for whoever the next coach is to come in and to at least talk to and have people there. That's how set up this team is. To me, that's also the reason why for everything that's holy, he should probably have Coach of the Year.
Yeah, that's kind of like another point that I would like to kind of emphasize on, is because you kind of hear the rumors throughout the year about, well, if this player is so good, why isn't he, in the SP or the ECHL, or like just things of that nature. And it's really, really clear to see, especially after you've seen certain players go to these other leagues,
right,
that if a player comes into Binghamton and they want to be in a different league, Tim Kim, perfect example. He came into this season, didn't play a super long season with us, and he wanted to play in a different league. They got him there, and he hasn't been back.
Yeah.
Brant knows that when guys come in and that if they desperately want to go play somewhere else, he's going to get them there. But at the same time, if you look at Brant and if you look at a lot of these other players on this team, they're not going to leave just because, oh, well, this team has asked for them. It has to be a good enough reason for them to leave.
Right.
And so like Brant might have 500 offers, but if it's not something that he wants, like if he, if it was like, oh, well, you can come be the assistant coach at this small team here and work your way. That's not what he wants. So he's not just going to leave Binghamton to just, get slightly ahead. He's going to leave Binghamton for the dream job that he is going to try to work his way up to. And I think that's something that doesn't kind of come through, is that people are like, oh, well, if we win this championship, Brant's out and so is everybody. That's not true.
No. I think
you can't guarantee that, but at the same time, like Brant would need the job offer that he wants to leave type of thing.
No, you're 100% right. Listen, I think he was snubbed the last 2 years, at least the first year for sure, 100% the first year. No one expected the Black Bears to do what they did, and they did it. I mean, they had to overcome finally beating the Danbury Hat in the playoffs, and they did that, right, for the first year when they won the championship. They had to go in and kind of defeat the Twin City Thunderbirds, then the Carolina Thunderbirds. They did that. Probably nobody expected them to do that. He should have won the first year. That first year they won the championship, he should have won Coach of the Year. And honestly, we should be talking about him winning Coach of the Year here in the third year with this performance that the team has had. Because as I said, and I didn't say this because I didn't believe in the team, but at the beginning of the season, if you remember correctly, you kind of giggled a little bit when I said, I don't know if they can repeat. I don't know if they can repeat, because honestly, in the world of sports, you don't see this. You don't see this. But because they have, you have to think that it starts somewhere, right? If Andreas is saying, I'm not in the picture, I don't spend much time there, then who's the next top person when it comes to the team? It's Brant Sherwood. And again, I'm not trying to score some New York Ranger tickets when he's up there coaching in the NHL. But Coach, I know you're listening to this. I'll take tickets at MSG anytime that you are coaching there. However, I truly believe it. He should have won Coach of the Year the first year for sure, 100%. Okay. And this year, because he's repeating what he did last year, and I'm sorry, they gave in his first full year when we won the championship, they gave the Coach of the Year to the Motor City Rockers, and that coach didn't even make the playoffs. How the frick does that happen? How does that happen? How do you give the Coach of the Year to somebody whose team can barely even make the playoffs? It doesn't make any sense to me. So I think that at that point it was still just a bias. Last year it was obviously a bias. Again, you can't win every single award, but man, you got to have a pretty good reason to not give the Black Bears awards. So like if Dominic Tomei does not get goalie of the year with those numbers, you guys aren't watching. You guys are not watching what's happening here in Binghamton. And I'm not trying, I'm just saying. Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say that you can't say we can't win every award. I mean, we got it for the last month with Player of the Month, Goaltender of the Month, and Rookie of the Month. We did take that whole category.
Yeah, you're right.
So again, I truly feel like for some reason this season feels different.
Yeah.
And it's almost like I said it last week or on the Sunday show that it's like the second that 50 wins became unavailable, they were like, we're just going to break every record we possibly can and just be the absolute best that we can.
Yeah.
Now that they haven't been doing that pretty much all season, but it's just they're doing things that we haven't seen in this team. And that's hard to say because of what they've been in previous seasons.
You're right.
Like we keep coming into this and, you know, at one point you and I were like, especially you were like, man, I wish they would just lose so we'd have something different to talk about. Like we could sit here and be like, oh, well, Brant should have done this differently, or maybe he should have kicked the trash can in Danbury, like stuff like that. And, you know, you just kind of got into a habit where we kept talking about them winning and we're like, they possibly can't do what they did last year. And they pretty much are, and they're doing it better. Yeah. Like they're so disciplined this season. And, you know, that's hard, especially against some of the teams that we're against.
Oh, it's beautiful.
You know, they go against Port Huron, and every time that we face Port Huron, I'm like, man, I really, really hope that they don't feed into Port Huron's antics and they don't, into like let Port Huron go into them.
I think they only had one game.
Sure,
one game where they fed into it, right? That was it.
Yeah, I think it was in Port Huron. I think.
Yeah,
I don't remember.
Might have been the loss.
I don't remember which goal he was in, but yeah, it might have been. But like I remember, like even like the small things that they have done with Port Huron, with the little scrums or the little issues that they've had, it hasn't been anything that major.
Yeah.
Like you watch other games in the league, and you're like, you look at the penalties, and you're like, holy, like that's crazy what's going on in these other games, and we haven't had that this season, and it's something that. I don't know if it's just they're a lot calmer. If it's, Brant has, he's a lot calmer. If it's Q, I don't know what's going on over there, but they're just so disciplined this year. And it's just to see what's happened with this team is just amazing. And even like I've been optimistic the entire season, but I didn't think we'd probably be sitting here talking about the things that we're talking about if you had asked me early, like before the season started. Because I remember before the season started and, we had, certain players that weren't coming back for certain reasons, whether they got picked up by somebody else in the expansion draft or they retired for other reasons. It's just something where you're kind of like, oh man, like we're really going to miss them. And then these other players get brought in and Brant is so good at what he does.
Yeah.
And you're just like, it's amazing. And that's why it would absolutely blow my mind if he doesn't get it this year.
Taylor, I'd like to ask you this question, and I want an honest answer from you. If I told you right now, you could add one person that was on this team that's not on this team right now, who would that person that you would want to be on this team? Like say I told you, we're adding one more roster spot, but you can pick any person that used to be on this team at the beginning of this season. So it can't be somebody from last season or the season before, although they could have played on those seasons. What I'm saying is when we started this season, there were some guys that were on this team that are not on this team anymore. Is there one guy you would love to say, okay, yep, that's the guy I would put on this team again right now?
So you're saying they started the season with us?
They started the season with us. We've traded away a few people. Luke Dobles, Cam Clark, trying to think of Darian Benchik, those. Is there one guy you would love to have on this team right now? If you could.
I kind of think I have a loophole for what you just kind of said.
Uh-oh, go ahead.
Because technically this guy was on our roster for the first couple months until he wasn't.
And who's this?
Josh Fletcher.
Oh, so you would want Josh on the team right now if we could. For me, I'll be honest with you. The guy that I kind of wish was on this team playing in this season right now, going through, is Cam Clark. I loved his style of hockey and the way he played the game. Him and Chris Mott together on the same line. I was all about that last year. I loved those two guys.
Everybody was. They were like a match made in heaven to watch those two play.
Yes.
And I do see what you're saying, but at the same time, I've also seen what Clark has done this year.
Yeah, he's done great.
He's done really great.
Really?
So I feel like it was almost really good for him kind of, the circumstances did suck. That was horrible to kind of like lose the players that you really hope were going to play here.
Yeah.
And, we were kind of really bummed about the whole thing and, those two not playing together. Because again, they were phenomenal on the ice together. But I truly think that Clark has had a really good season. And I don't know, because, again, with the whole depth thing, I don't know if he would have felt that way, kind of like somebody else that was on the team that's no longer on the team, kind of, one of those circumstances where I don't know if they would have had the best year that they possibly could have. And I feel like that is for Clark. Yeah. For me, on the other hand, to have Josh Fletcher, just because of his energy. Yeah. Like he's so like always smiley, always like the energy, the amount of fun that he has. That's the reason that it had absolutely nothing to do with like performance wise or anything like that. It's just, that's somebody that I feel like is missed on the team just for that reason. Like I just, we got to talk to him after one of the games and it again blew my mind that he knew my name and that he listens to the show, which is awesome. But
hi, Josh.
Yeah. Like I don't, I'm basically like fangirling right here, right now. But that was the first time I've ever gotten to talk to Josh. And I could not believe just how nice he was and like how much he really wished that he could have been there to play, but like how supportive he was of the team. Like it was awesome. And like, so if we could add a roster spot right now and bring him on, that's who I would pick.
Well, I would have Cam Clark and Josh Fletcher fight to the death, and whoever won got to join the team.
That wouldn't happen because I feel like Josh would like start dropping the gloves, but then he'd like back off and let it like he's just so smiley. Like, yeah, I get it. He'll drop the gloves and fight anybody. And he's like so serious about it when it happens. But I don't think he would do that with Clark. I really don't. I feel like he'd drop the gloves and like grab the jersey, but then like smile and laugh and hug him or something. Like that's what I see would happen.
Okay. So the Binghamton Black Bears are doing something that I wish they would have done since the first season, but they are doing it this season. Taylor, let's get into that.
So it's your vote, and you get to decide the Fan Favorite Award. For the first time in Binghamton Black Bears franchise history, the team is doing year-end awards, and you, the fans, get to decide the Fan Favorite Award. So who are you going to vote for?
Oh, no, that's not a question for me. That's a question for the fans.
I kind of wanted it to be a question for you. Did you vote?
I did vote, yes.
Oh, I did vote too.
I'm not going to say who I voted for, but
I won't either. It's all right.
But I won't say who I voted for, and you don't have to say who you voted for. But who do you think is going to win, though?
That's the like really hard. Like I even had a hard time voting.
Yeah, me too.
Because like I sent it to Jeremy and I was like, "Did you vote?" And he goes, "No." And I was like, "Why not?" So then he went on and voted, and he's like, "Who'd you vote for?" And I gave him like a weird look, and he guessed immediately, which was I was kind of shocked by it. But and I knew who he was going to vote for. But we were just kind of like talking back and forth, and I was like, for him it was super easy, and I could tell you his because it wouldn't, he wouldn't care, but I knew his right from the start because as soon as this player came on, he's been obsessed with him. But it's just, I was sitting there and I was like, I was going back and forth between like, a handful of them. And I was like, I had a really hard time just picking one. And I know like I've seen quite a few of the comments from people and they're like, it's so hard to pick just one. And I was like, oh yeah, like this, it's really tough. I don't know who would win. Like,
I know who you voted for. By the way, I know who you voted for.
You'll have to tell me when we're not recording. Yes. I'll tell you if you're right or not.
I definitely.
And Jeremy picked Sargis. He's been a big Sargis fan.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And boy did.
So he definitely.
and there's a good take for Sargis being, a player that's made an impact this year, right? I don't think he's going to win our Impact Player of the Year award. I don't think he's gotten it enough times. I know you have to go back and do the research on that and find out who has won it the most, unless you got that written down somewhere. And I
don't have it written down, but I probably have a good guess.
Yeah, well, I do too. But I think, So Sargis is, not a bad pick because, I mean, he's got like 15 or 16 goals now, right? He hasn't fought yet, but man, when he gives people that look on the ice, you know what I'm talking about, right? When something crazy is about to go down and he just turns and looks at them. I've gotten pictures of it before. And I
was just going to say that one picture that you have where he's got the one guy by the jersey, but he's staring at, I think it's Brockway.
Yep.
And he's just staring at him. And I was like, I would not, like, I feel bad for the jersey of the guy he's holding.
Yeah. But I think the fans could pick Tyson Kirkby because he's been on the team for so long and probably has a big fan following.
You could make an argument for anybody, and that's why it's so hard.
Yeah.
Like, that's why, like, for me, I had to, like, put it in categories. I was like, well, this person's really nice to me off the ice, or, you know, I've seen videos of this person with kids, and it was definitely a hard one. It was like, you seriously could make an argument for anybody on the team, and that's I almost feel like people are going to be disappointed, like, when we finally read the fan favorite, because it wasn't like who they, like, if it's not who they thought, or if that's not who they voted for, or the excitement's just going to be overwhelming. I don't really know, but it'll definitely be interesting to see.
Now, fans, you can go to the Black Bears Facebook page or the Power Play Post Show page and click on the link. There's a link. I've now attached it to the top of the when you go to the Facebook group, it's attached there. So if you haven't voted, go vote. It's a Google's form, so I guess you have to have a Google login to do it. But you can vote for your favorite player, and it will be announced at the last home game of the season at the Black Bears Team Awards celebration. I think we're going to be a part of that. I think we're going to somehow be a part of announcing this. So I at least I hope that's still happening. Hint, hint, guys at the front office, because that's what was said to me, and I would certainly love to be a part of that, as we have such a special relationship, not only with our own fans, but the fans of the Binghamton Black Bears. So, which is pretty cool. So we'll talk about that again over the next couple weeks as it gets closer to that. We'll make sure that we keep reminding people to go over there and vote. Okay, so now, before we get into the interview, Andreas Johansson is starting a new team in Memphis, where the old Memphis and Mississippi River Kings used to play at the Landers Center. There are obvious questions. Will this affect the Black Bears in any way? Why not in the Northeast? Which leads us to the interview with Andreas. Taylor, a lot of people have talked about the Northeast thing, right? Why not a team in the Northeast? Why can't you get a team and put it up here? I actually talked to Andreas in an interview and off air a few different times now about getting a team. Matter of fact, I specifically talked to him about in Elmira. And I know I know it comes up in the interview a little bit, which fans you're going to get to hear in just a few minutes. Elmira would be a great situation. However, I think Elmira needs a few more years. As I've thought about it over the last couple hours after talking to Andreas, I think Elmira still needs a couple more years of separation from pro hockey. They were burnt really bad with the Mammoth. They were burnt really bad with the River Sharks. And even the team before them, the Enforcers, when they went out, it was a bad situation. Fanship, or the attendance, went from like 2,700 to almost 2,800 on average during the heyday of Elmira hockey, down to under 1,000 fans. I think they need a little bit more time away to miss it. Now, Binghamton has always had hockey for the past 53, 54 years, whatever it is. And we've had our low moments and our good moments. We've never gone below like 2,950. 2,950, 2,950 fans. They can barely get that in Elmira. So they need to miss it for a little bit longer. And then the rest of the Northeast, this is a hard part, Taylor. There's not many places you can go. And I think Andreas talked about it in the interview. Albany, too expensive. Manchester has no interest. Going up to Maine, where used to be an ECHL team up in Maine. I can't remember exactly the name of the city right at the moment off the top of my head. Too far away. So it's hard. The Northeast is a question mark inside of a box, inside of a bag that says, don't look inside. We don't know. It's very difficult. It's going to be very difficult for the Northeast. And I think when you listen to the interview, and Taylor, correct me if I'm wrong, this is not going to affect the Black Bears, in my opinion, in any way at all.
Oh, you're definitely not wrong. And that's why I truly appreciate that you guys did this interview, and that Andreas, again, is so transparent about everything and just so open about like how the operations are actually run, and like, you know, what the steps that are involved, and like what needs to be done, not just for up here, but for down there. And, you know, he really just kind of like tells you that he doesn't really do much up here. And that's not like a bad thing. That's not a knock against him or a knock against the Black Bears or anything like that. But when's the last time you saw Andreas at the arena? Like, honestly, like it's not really that big of a deal, especially for what Binghamton is. I mean, look at the last several seasons. It's been established. You know, there's something so concrete in Binghamton. It's a hockey town. Like, people could be upset about what Andreas is doing and say that, oh, well, he shouldn't do this, or he's going to drop Binghamton now. And if those fans choose not to come to the game, that would be truly sad. And quite honestly, just dumb in my opinion, that you're going to give up supporting the fans. But Binghamton's such a hockey town that even if a couple fans are burnt by this or upset by Andreas doing this,
it's not going to harm the team.
It's not going to, exactly. It's not going to do anything to harm the team.
Yeah.
And that's, you know, honestly, the whole take in this is that I don't think Andreas would do a single thing that would hurt Binghamton in any way, shape, or form.
You're right.
And with Binghamton being basically so self-efficient, the way that he has brought it up and the way that Brant has done things and the way the front office has done things and everybody involved, Andreas felt so comfortable and loves the sport of hockey so much that he's trying to grow this community.
Yeah.
And I think that's awesome because, again, if you look at the FPHL 5 years ago or 10 years ago or however long ago, it has changed so much. And I think it is getting better. And I think the teams are getting more competitive. I think a couple teams have struggled here and there. That's obvious. You've seen teams fold. We've seen teams come. We've seen them fold the next, you know, at the end of the season type of thing. But there are strong teams in this league, and I think they're getting stronger. And I think with somebody like Andreas doing it the correct way, it's just going to build it better.
You know, Taylor, I just thought of something while you were talking, and I really want to say this. This is going to be the first time where the Binghamton Black Bears fans will have friends somewhere in this league. And I don't mean that like that you don't have friends in Danbury, because you do. You go down there and there are people that you talk to in Danbury. And I think there are people like the legend, Derek, who goes to every single road game, almost every single road game that there is. And he's known, and some people probably like him. Some people probably say, why the hell is this guy here? And he's bigger than me, so I'm not going to say anything to him. So let's just leave it at that. And then there, you know, but this is going to be a team that can be like the little brother to the Binghamton Black Bears, where it's two organizations that are owned by the same ownership group, and that they can literally just kind of work together and make the sport of hockey better. And we know that if we ever play against this team, this Mid-South Pro Hockey team, whatever name that they're going to eventually go with, we've got friends. We might be competitive friends. We might want to beat them on the ice, but off the ice, here's a partnership because of a common ground, which is Andreas Johansson, which if you've ever met Andreas, if you've ever gotten to talk to Andreas, you realize he's a really good dude, and he's not trying to screw the Black Bears. He's not trying to screw the fans or anything like that. So I think that's a good thing. Well, Taylor, why don't you take us to the interview?
You want me to take us to the, because I was going to say that if you had any question on whether Andreas could do this or not, just Google the man.
Yeah.
Because I think it was 2 years ago, I had asked one of our fans, because I didn't know anything about Andreas. I didn't know a lickety split about him. So I had asked one of our fans who has been in Binghamton pretty much forever. And I was like, I had asked him who he was and that kind of stuff. And he was like, just Google his name. And that's, yeah, seriously, just Google who he is. And that'll tell you everything you need to know. And I guess with that, we're going to go into the interview with Andreas Johansson.
You're listening to the Power Play Post Show. Here is another Power Play Post Show interview exclusive with Bob Howard.
And welcome back, everybody, to the Power Play Post Show. He has probably had a better day than me, and that's because he did hold a press conference down at the Landers Center in South Haven, Mississippi. He is our good owner of the Binghamton Black Bears. Of course, he is Andreas Johansson. Andreas, welcome back to the show. And It's great to have you. I know you just probably spent the last couple hours talking to business leaders and community members down in South Haven, and probably even some of the media down there. Congratulations on the announcement that you guys will be creating a second team under your fold, and this being down where the old Mississippi River Kings used to play. But congratulations on that.
Thank you. Always great being back on your show, and I'm sure the Black Bears fans get a few questions. So I think it's the perfect venue to speak to them. So I appreciate you having me on.
No, absolutely. So let's start from the beginning. When did this start to come into formation that you were going to be able to potentially have a second team in the FPHL?
Well, it really came on really quickly. So it's kind of a funny backstory, but I was down here in 2019, like before Watertown, before anything. And I thought like this would be a good place for me to start putting a team, because they just lost the River Kings, and it's a really nice big building, and long story short, nothing came from it, and I didn't really think any more of it. Like I was kind of set with I've got the Black Bears, and then I got the soccer investments and stuff, and I thought that's plenty for me. But then in I want to say December or January, the new rink manager reached out to me, and I think he called Don as well, and said, "Hey, I know you guys were interested in the past. Like, are you interested again?" And I was like, "What is going on here?" Like that. It's rare that it happens like that. Like, and if it does, it's usually some small venue somewhere that you really have no interest in. And initially, to be honest, I was like, no, I don't think. I got all I need in Binghamton, and I got young kids. I live in Maryland. Like, it's not really for me, but I thought, all right, let me take a trip down there and take a trip down. And, the staff are really nice, like very but also like business minded. Like they kind of understood, like, here's what it would take for a team to succeed, like cost wise and what they need to offer. And, I literally spent a day, like I flew in the morning, flew back out at night. And I thought, all right, like, let me go to the next step, see what the business support might look like. So, again, the arena being really helpful, and I really wanted to keep things like kind of under wraps. So like they put me in touch with a couple of the companies that already advertise with the building, and I met with them, and same like good positive feedback. Like they kind of looked, I guess, a little bit at what we've done in Binghamton, and thought like, hey, this actually would fit pretty well with what they're trying to do from a community perspective. And then finally, I went down and talked to just a few people that have been involved with kind of not directly with the old team, but like around the team. And and to be honest, like, Brant played here for a while, and, a couple other guys. And I told him about it, and he said, yeah, I think you should do it. It's a great market. Like players are going to be happy to be there. It's a great building. And I said, all right, if he's saying it, and it's kind of like, I believe in faith, I guess, too, in a way where like, what are the, like, if you look at the Black Bears too, it kind of like, I had to do, of course, a lot of work to get the initial lease there, but it was also kind of fell on my lap a little bit.
Sure.
To a little bit circumstance. And then this is the same. So I'm like, how about if this would have the same outcome as the Black Bears, like from, a fan perspective and community impact. And I also think, having been through it now, a little bit with Watertown, but especially with the Bears, that I think I've learned quite a lot about like what needs to be done and how to do it, so that I could cut a lot of like the initial kind of learning curve a little bit to make it easier, where even though it's a ton of work, but where I'll probably be able to hire people for most of the positions without having to be as involved day to day as I was initially with the Black Bears.
So what I'm hearing from you is, because you have talked to a few of the business leaders down there, does it seem like there's interest? Because I know one of the major revenue portions of running a team and making it work is the sponsorship possibilities from the community leaders and the business leaders within a community. No matter what city you're in, it's a major part of an owner making enough money to be able to run the team successfully too, because that does play a part in things. You could be in a very small market and not have a lot of money, and you won't be able to attract, certain players to a team. Do you feel like you have a good sense that this is a market that will help, be a part of that revenue stream for your team down in South Haven?
Yeah, based on like the initial kind of meetings I had and conversations with, there's other pro teams here, and, they've been pretty open, like sharing information and kind of like who they're working with on the corporate side. And, one of the advantages with being in a larger metro area is you obviously have a little bit more larger companies,
Right.
so you have a little bit more options there. Of course, it's still kind of on a local level. Like, I don't think we're necessarily going to go to a suburb that's, on the other side of the Memphis area from where the team is. Like, we'll probably start pretty regionally. But yeah, I feel like the corporate support is there. I feel like they, I shouldn't say they feel like something's missing, because I don't think that's necessarily what you walk around thinking about all day if you're a business owner here.
Sure.
But like, there is, you got the Grizzlies, which obviously that's the NBA. So
Yep.
There's some sponsorship, but it's very big dollar. There's a minor leagues, a AAA baseball team that they've got some pretty good support. And then, the city of Memphis, obviously they get money, but a lot of that is, state money too. And you've got the, we're going to share with the Memphis Hustle, which is the G League team. But I think no disrespect to them. Like, I think they're just kind of a very, very small part of the Memphis Grizzlies, like, overall business. And like, they don't particularly go out there selling sponsorships and tickets as much as it's just a convenience for them to have the farm team right in their own backyard. So I think there's, obviously there's competition, but there's also plenty of companies here where this should be like decent money to go around. And I think with our approach being, like, once again, very like community focused, I think we have a good chance at building that up. Like you said, it's the backbone of any team. Like, gradually, like in Binghamton, like our ticket revenue surpasses our corporate revenue, but in the beginning, you can't necessarily expect it to be that way, and you need to know that you have the corporate revenue so that you can put money on the ice to make sure your team's competitive enough where fans are going to want to come and watch you play.
Yeah. Now, so basically what I'm hearing from you is that you believe that in this market, there's definitely enough meat on the bone to get that corporate and that, business support, because that's obviously very important. What about, when I listened to and I watched the press conference earlier today, at the end, when I heard the applause, it seemed like there was a lot of people there. Can you kind of describe to us from, we could see who was on the stage and everything. What was the crowd of people like? Was it fans? Was it just media? Was it just business people? Who was there in the crowd for this press conference?
It was a mix. I mean, there was actually quite a lot of media. I think there were 5 or 6 TV stations. There was some radio stations there, and there may have been some newspaper too. I don't know. Maybe.
Wait, newspaper still covers hockey?
I know. I was like,
really?
I was going to be. Are there still a newspaper? Is there still a newspaper here? I don't know. And then there were some business leaders. Like the Landers group. Their CEO spoke. I think after me, or it may have been after Don. Like they're huge, and like having their name. Like, I remember our first press conference in Binghamton, we had Visions, and I really wanted to have Landers here because it's a very like well respected firm. For a car dealer, that's pretty good, right? Like, most of the time it's maybe not like that,
right?
But they were very gracious, so they were there. So they were business owners. Like, they also have a fairly large like board of the arena. Like, I'm guessing they're not listening to this. Like, I don't know exactly how the structure is here. Like, they don't have like we have with Jason, like a county executive, and they have different ways of like managing their counties and cities here, I guess. So like, I don't know exactly what role everybody played in the whole thing, but a lot of them were stakeholders in one way or another. Some were just fans. Some were people that were working with the River Kings, and they're obviously curious and they might want to work in hockey again. So it was a mix. But yeah, it was a good turnout. I think maybe 70, 80 people or something like that.
Yeah, it seemed like there was a pretty loud reception. Now, let's talk about running two hockey teams, and definitely, obviously, in the same league, because I'm sure there's some concern from the Binghamton Black Bears fans that maybe your attention will be split a little bit too much. But from how I understand the way you run the Black Bears is that Brant Sherwood runs the player side of things, and that you've built a team in the back office, in the front office, that have really, for the past few years, been running themselves. So even if you did spend an extra few hours working with the team in Memphis or South Haven, your attention going away from Binghamton really doesn't apply here because the team is really running itself right now, correct?
Well, yeah, that was probably my biggest concern with taking this on. Was it wasn't that it would hurt the Black Bears, but it was that the perception would be that it would hurt the Black Bears.
Right.
I had two teams once before, but that was a completely different situation, right? With Watertown being a small market team, you just can't really get, someone else in to run it in the same way as you could do with a big market team.
Right.
But I mean, you pretty much nailed it. I mean, I would say at least since Sherwood came in, even I would say Gary and Rod, for the most part, let them run the thing too. But Brand certainly, with the players and stuff, we speak a lot, of course. And I know players coming and going, but that's on him. I don't know when we bring guys in and when he wants to cut someone, and obviously leaving him to that has worked exceptionally well. And I think he appreciates working that way too. As far as with the office, you always, on a personal level, wish that you could do more to help out. But, we've had the same people now for the most part for almost 5 years. So, you always have to be careful. And, this is something that I tell the guys upstairs a lot, and they know that, but you got to be very careful with becoming complacent. We're selling out almost every game, which is great, but it's also the team on the ice is so good that's a big factor in that. So you always have to try to stay on, stay on message, stay on point. But I can do that. I don't spend more than, I would say, a few hours a week on any actual work for the Bears, if that makes sense. I do some of the financial stuff myself, and of course I check in with, I'll go up in the off season. I'll go up for meet some of the bigger sponsors that have been there since the beginning, and I have a personal relationship with those guys. I'll always happy to go up for those meetings, and I try to make most of the home games still with my kids, and then of course I'll be in the office. But it's really at a point where I really don't have much day-to-day involvement, and I'm hoping, perhaps foolishly, but that at least some of that what I've done in the past can transfer over to here, where there's more of a blueprint for, here's how we did this, and here's how we did the corporate, and here's what you have to sell, where, it's still a ton of work, but you don't have the same learning curve of oh, we didn't even factor this into it. You, at least what you have to do.
Yeah. So realistically, when it comes down to it, you building up this team there isn't going to really affect the Black Bears, which is kind of the important part of this, right? The whatever budget you're spending on player salaries, whether that stays the same or it's not going to decrease just because you have a second team now, because the whole point of this, and I know that in the past, and this is probably where some of the concern could come in for some people, is when you see Barry Soskin, who owned half the team half the league at one point, he wasn't putting in the same amount of money in one team versus another team versus another team. This is going to be solely more so probably based on what team is bringing in what revenue from ticket sales and from merchandise sales and from business corporateship. That's the amount of money that they're going to be able to spend on running the team. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. Yeah. I mean, I think Barry, it was a very different situation that he was in.
Sure.
I think you can say where, these teams were his primary way of um, supporting himself. Well, for me, fortunately, it's not. If you talk about like distractions away from the Black Bears, like I own we have I have a real estate firm. I have a modular construction firm. I've got, my two soccer teams. I got a few things to distract, and they're all independent of each other, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, if anything, like if you look at, the year I had two teams, like Watertown, that was by far the smaller team, won the championship, right? Well, Binghamton, we lost in the first round to Danbury. So like I kept feeding Watertown money out of my pocket just to like keep it kind of level. But yeah, it's not, both teams, I think it's fair to say, will be profitable enough where they'll be able to support themselves without like me needing to think, okay, I'm going to pull money away from one team to give to the other,
Right.
or to feed my own lifestyle. Like luckily I don't live off the teams, like if I can pull some money out of it, great. But I haven't typically needed to like rely on that. Am I going to be able to find a coach as good as Scherzy to be down here and recruit a team like that? There aren't many like them. I mean, you tell me if you find one, right? Like there aren't many guys who can do that.
If I find a guy like Scherzy, I'm starting up my own team. Forget it. Because
you should, if you find a rank, that's because I know like one thing that's
the tough part.
Because I got Trevor and Cole with me down here, and they said, yeah, there's people asking like, why don't you put another team in the North? And I said, where? Yeah, I'd love to because believe me, like when I went here in 2019, like this was an island in the middle of nothing. Like there were no teams. Now you look at the map, it's like, all right, we got Columbus, Athens, Biloxi, Baton Rouge, and I think Monroe. They're all within like 5-6 hours. While Binghamton, like if we're, I don't want to like get ahead of things, but if Watertown aren't around, like even if they are around, like we have two teams within 4 or 5 hours. The rest is all way out there. It's like I would love to have another team in the North, but there's a handful of buildings, and I mean, I've had meetings with Albany several times, but there just isn't. It's fair to say there isn't a willingness to really do anything. Like they have a number in mind that's astronomically higher than any team could realistically pay, which is why like no team's ever been sustainable there. And that's fine. Like if they're making money doing the concerts and whatever else they're doing, that's fine. I'm not telling them take a chance on hockey. And obviously they're not too concerned with like the community aspect of having a team. There's a new rink, as we know, Union College and, Schenectady, but I think, they have a D1 team, and maybe it's a little bit on the smaller side almost now. And Manchester, New Hampshire, I've tried that, and I know others have tried, and they've shown no interest. Bridgeport, Connecticut, if the building is ever in play, I mean, sign me up for a third team, but right now I don't think they're at the point where,
I think Bridgeport would be very tough. The cost of living is so ridiculously high there. You'd almost have to like have guys live like 30 minutes out from Bridgeport. Realistically, very, very tough market. I know Manchester, they felt very burnt by the ECHL and the LA Kings when the team went from the AHL after winning the championship. The next season, they're in the ECHL. 3 years later, they're completely gone. I think there's it's a hard market. The Northeast is a very hard market because that is some of the response I got from people today was, well, why not a place closer? Because even I said to you a couple weeks ago when we talked about this, right? I said, why not Elmira? Why not a place closer so it could benefit you and the league and the team? I still think
would love Elmira. Like I've had talks like for, before the IDA even sold it. And like, I've had conversations with Mark, that Stemmerman that bought the building. And like they had two teams in there. And I think one of them, I don't think it's a secret. Like they folded up, right? Not the NA team, but whatever the other one was. But they're in the NA, and I don't know if they have something preventing them from, doing something else, or if they're going to try to tough it out or what they're doing. But like, Elmira would be an amazing place to put a team. And I've always said, like, if you do it the right way, it'd be successful. I mean, I wasn't really around like for much of like the Enforcers time. Like I got in right at the end, as you know, during COVID, it was a non-factor anyway,
Right.
but like seemingly they had a lot of fans. I don't know. I never went there during that time, but if they had a lot of fans, and then even, you know, under Donner's time when they were what were they then? Was that the River Monsters or whatever?
Well, there was the River Sharks and then the Mammoth.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So like even, I mean, the attendance was anemic, but also like,
Yeah.
especially the last year, like the city did zero to promote the team, and they still had some people in there. Like, so like if they actually promoted it and the team wasn't like, it wasn't terrible, but it wasn't great. Right.
Right.
They were, you know, one 2-minute penalty away from making the playoffs. Right. So like they weren't that bad, but if it had been promoted, like I think it could have done well, and would love to be in Elmira, would love to be in, you know, I know there's a building and, you know, it's probably confidential, but I know there's a building in Maine that wants to have a team, but like it's, who's going to travel up there in the winter in 8 hours and freezing cold. And, you know, it's just, it's tough, right?
So Andreas, if you could speak to the Binghamton Black Bears fans, is there anything you'd want to say about this venture for you and how it pertains to, you know, the Binghamton fan?
Yeah, it won't really affect any of you guys. Like it's, I understand like why people think it, but, as much as I want to take credit for great things that happen, like I am such a small factor in what's happening with the Black Bears today compared to year 1, 2, and maybe even like year 3. I was very like, I was in the office once a week and everything, but now I'm really like, many of our fans probably have been to the arena more times this year than I have. So
that's
like
fair.
My office has like mail in there that's like over a year old. Like say, you know, even when I'm up there, like I have my kids with me a lot of the time. So like it's something that I felt like this is a market that could do very well. It could benefit the league. And I think it would be like a fun challenge, you know, to take on. And I think sometimes in life, it's like, if you take something else on that like really gets you excited, it'll spill over into other things. But I'm also so confident in what we have in Binghamton, like, you know, off the ice, you know, everything's been really good attendance wise, corporate wise. We're doing very well, merchandise, and obviously on the ice. I mean, I probably don't have to say too much, right? Like, I think if the team wasn't as successful, I think I would understand like concerns, you know, and I understand it still. Like, I don't have a problem with it, but you know, even if I didn't make a game for 3 months, which it's kind of happened, right? I hadn't been up there for a while when everything was going on.
Well, you had some personal, well, let's be honest. You had some personal things going on with you and your family that you needed to take care of, and everybody could understand that. And that's why having people like Bobby Gross and Brooks Hill and Trevor and Kelsey all taking care of the back office, the front office. And if they have to make a phone call and call you or send you an email or text saying, hey, we need to do this, and you know, to get approval or not to get approval or whatever, it's easy peasy, right? I mean, that's the whole point. That's why something like this shouldn't really hurt the Black Bears in any way.
No, it really shouldn't. Like I would just see it as like I do run or, you know, have ownership of a number of different businesses, and they're all kind of running themselves on their own. And with me, like, you know, I've been pretty open, like having like pretty bad ADHD. So like my attention span is pretty short anyway. So like if I spend a few hours on something, I'm kind of done for a while. So I was never like 40 hours a week on this anyway. And it's such it's, you know, I don't want to be complacent and say it's always going to be great, because who knows, you know, things will change, and you know, you always got to try to stay ahead of that. And that's something that, you know, I will spend some more time on this summer, like making sure everybody understands that, like, there will come a time where we're not 35-4 at Christmas. Like, we might be 50%. I don't think we will, but you never know, you know. Obviously we're a pretty soft team, right? And, you know, we're, you know, if you listen to certain people, you know, we're not as good, and we just get a lot of help from the refs and whatnot. And who knows if that ever dries up, right? I mean, I find it funny. Like, I don't, it's funny. Anything to get us fired up, right?
Yeah.
But no, we have,
Let me ask.
And if you make it a place, yeah, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to ask you, when it comes down to signing players, you're going to obviously hire a head coach that'll go in there at some point within the next couple months, and then he's got to start kind of come up with this. Are you going to, and this is a fun question, this is a question for me just because I think really stupid stuff at certain times of the day. Are you going to put Brant Sherwood and the new coach of this other team in and then say, okay, I've got 5 players you guys can sign. Now battle it out to figure out who's going to sign them. Is there going to be a healthy competition between these two teams to kind of like maybe outdo the other?
I'm sure there will be. Yeah. Like I'm going to try cause this was actually way worse when I had Watertown and Binghamton because it played each other so many times, right? It was probably 15, 20 games. And that was tough. And, it did become a pretty heated rivalry, which wasn't that. I mean, it was good, like the fans, like it was good for that, but it definitely kind of sucked, like watching it on the sideline.
Are you going to authorize a schedule where Binghamton plays in Memphis twice and they play up here twice? Are you going to authorize? Are you going to say to the league, I want that on the schedule?
I don't know. It's funny. Somebody asked me that. I think it was Cole, like our, that works in our office, was asking me, like, do you think the team will come back up here? I was like, no. And then I thought, it depends what happens to Watertown. Like, someone's going to have to go there. Yeah. So it's possible. I mean, as long as it's not, if it's in the championship game, like, fine, and then I'll take it. But hopefully it's not too often. But I think I'm going to, I've always been pretty, isolated from the player transaction side. And Brant's not a guy that makes a lot of trades. Like, we don't trade with anybody, right?
Nope.
And the same, I know I've been asked a few times, well, what are you going to do? Because, the draft, you're going to have to draft players. I said, the draft, I don't really care. I mean, if we get an expansion draft, if I don't have a coach yet, then I don't know what I'll do. I'll probably try to get some, financial compensation from teams and just leave the players alone, or get a player in the future. I'm not a fan of the draft. I don't think it necessarily is done in a fair way. And I've said that before too. I don't understand why, because all that happens is the new team coming in often greatly overvalues a player on a better team and take him away to a place he doesn't want to be. I know when we lost, Fletch was taken 1 year, right? And, Fletch, Utes, a lot of guys that were useful players as part of Scherzie's system as a 9th or 10th forward. But then when they get taken to be a top line player, it's not the role that they should be in. So the buyer, or whatever you want to call it, is disappointed. And the player is kind of well, I'm not playing well anymore. And we lost a player that Scherzie spent time going out to get. So I'm not a fan of the draft. And I also think that if you're getting players that other team, I mean, we all know how it works. I mean, you're going to expose either guys that you don't want anymore, or, this player isn't going to go anywhere else and you'll hope nobody takes him. Or guys that are going to retire from the game. So you don't announce their retirement because you hope they get taken, and it's kind of is it, is it worth, spending all this time? I'm sure there are players who are going to want to come here because they've seen Binghamton and they know they get taken care of well. So I'm sure there'll be players trying to reap out. But I think you need some veteran guys, of course, but you kind of have to build a young team. The way that the payroll's gone in this league. I don't want to get too into that and get in trouble, but the way that's been working, I think you have to do what Scherzie's done and find young guys that, you say, hey, come for a year, give me a year. And then if you want to go on the coast, we'll give you that opportunity. But going out, getting guys that have been in the Fed for 5, 6, 7 years. And, there's a few guys, there's a couple of Gavin Yateses out there and Kirks and guys that are veterans who are still working hard and winning championships. But I'm not interested in a lot of guys that have been, 7 years and 7 teams. And this is the one that's going to work out. I don't really see it that way. Maybe the coach I hire wants it, and then God bless him, go and do what you got to do. But typically, I think that's more the way the league's kind of moving.
Let me ask you this question, because I got a couple more before I let you go, because if not, you and I could talk for 3 hours, which isn't far from the truth, honestly. What is your next steps now with Mid-South? We'll call it Mid-South right now. MidSouthProHockey.com is the website, but Mid-South, what is your next steps?
Well, I mean, realistically, we got to hire a couple people down here to be permanently. Like right now, I brought Cole and Trevor with me down for the announcement, and they're answering the phones right now. And we got, it's not a big deal anymore to do, but like we got right now, the phone here is going to forward to our office in Binghamton, so that like short term we can handle inquiries. But I do need to hire. Like it's a little bit of complicated because the arena here is like they're doing a lot of work to it,
right?
Like really positive stuff, but like it's not. There's not going to be air conditioning for like 2 months, and it's going to be 100 degrees here soon. So like it's a little bit harder to tell people like, hey, go and sit and work in this rink.
Please,
but yeah, hiring and
send Brooks Hill down there. He loves the heat. He complains about the cold all the time. Just send him down there and say, for the next 2 months, you're working in the Memphis office. He'll probably love it.
He'd love it.
He would love it.
Like stuffy room with no windows. We're using like a conference room right now as an office with like literally one desk. So like, yeah, it's going to be hiring people, and then, season tickets we started selling, and obviously we got. We'll give it a couple of weeks for this Name the Team contest, and then we'll cap it off and announce that and start like working on the corporate side, and obviously finding a coach. Like I have a few people that probably would be like good choices, but there's always new guys reaching out that maybe they're looking for a new challenge or move on. So because you don't need it like right away, but you don't want to wait too long, because obviously players, like serious players, are going to want to know like who am I playing for? Like you might be a great owner or a terrible owner, but like if the coach is, they're going to have far more interaction with the coach than with me, right? So a real player is going to be like who's coaching it.
Well, I've always said, Andreas, and I think fans don't like it when I say this. I think business owners like yourself probably wouldn't like this when I say this. Players should not go to a team to play for the city, the fans, or because of the arena. They should go there to play for the coach. Because if they play for the coach and they buy into what the coach is trying to go for, that's when teams are successful. Then everything else falls into place. You start winning games because they're buying into what the coach wants them to do. And guess what? The fans start to show up. The media starts to talk about them a little bit more. And so what it really comes down to, the formula is players should go to a team because of the coach, not because of anything else. Because if they do that and they buy in, it's a successful situation. That's what happened in Binghamton. In Binghamton, you brought in Brant Sherwood, not saying that Rod did a bad job or Gary Gill did a bad job. Gary, I thought, was doing a really good job before he left. But Brant came in and instilled his own way of doing things and then brought in his own players, kept a few guys around that had been there, like Kirks and Gavin Yates, guys that you helped bring in, obviously, into the team. And because they play for Brant, they've been successful. I saw that in 2011 with Kurt Kleinendorst. When he came in, the players played for him first. That was the whole thing. So I think it's I know people don't like to hear me say that, but it's true. If a player comes in and they play for the head coach, that's why it's very smart to bring in the best salespeople you can, who can communicate your mission to the business owners and so on and so forth. But at the same time, probably the most important hire that you're going to have is a head coach.
Yeah, I agree pretty much what you say. I think it's a little bit more complicated than that, or complex, because most of the time, like, I'm trying to think if there's any like real exceptions that I've seen, at least in this league, where most of the time you're not going to get a very good coach unless the other things are also there. Like that's fair. Like the ownership or management. Because like you can't could we go to Watertown tomorrow and win a championship? If Scherzy is the coach, will Watertown win a championship? Very possible, but the resources to be able to travel, and I'm not saying anything we do is luxurious or in any violation of any rules of the league, but like would would they be able to afford to travel the day before to most road games and stay
right. The hotels,
and have the medical, and like that's a part of it too, that like in a smaller market or with ownership that doesn't care enough. Like there are, without naming any, but there's a couple teams not far from here that have really big buildings and close to the ocean and great weather, and the teams have consistently not performed, right? And that, like, if they put a great coach in there, would they win? Yes, if the coach was given the support. And sometimes the best support you can give is like just kind of get out of the way, right? Like let them do their thing. Like, don't bother them too much with, oh, why isn't this guy playing? Why did you sign that guy? Let them do their thing and like judge it by the results. If they want to cut players that have been long-term league features and have a lot of fans, let him do it. Like, just know that like you're making a big bet. Like if it wins, you're going to hang banners. If it doesn't work, then you're going to lose some fans, and you have to be able to make that decision. And usually like some owners and, management or whatever, they might not be ready to do it. And you need to have the facility. Like I think even if you moved Sherwood to Watertown tomorrow and we say, hey, the budget's the same, some of the guys, like, our players, they like to hang out the rink and they can go skate kind of whenever they want. And they got good facilities, gym. If you don't have those things at the building, like, can you attract good players? Sure. Is it more difficult? Yeah, I think it's a little harder, and geography plays into it. I mean, maybe it doesn't anymore. Like I was going to say it does, but like looking at Binghamton, no, like we probably travel more miles than almost any, maybe Watertown's worse, and Port Huron's, kind of tough now with Motor City gone, but like there, I think, yes, like to go back to what you said like 20 minutes ago before I went into my little thing. Yes, the coach is you can't hire an idiot as a coach. Like you need to have someone that can help guys go where they want to go. Like if you need someone, like if you look at Jersey, you get both, right? Like he knows because he's been in that situation himself, and like he's young, so it wasn't that long ago. But he knows, all right, a player like D-Raz, for example, D'Orazio, he probably could play in the coast, so he probably wants to go there. So I'll help him get there, but I need to get 1 year out of him first,
right?
Win a championship here, then move on. Same with, he ended up retiring, right? Like Dakota Bond, for example, like very high quality player, and then you have guys going the opposite way, where they're saying, hey, I don't want to retire, but I'm kind of sick of what I'm doing. I want a new challenge. So you get Stubbs, you get Bondo,
Mac Jansen.
You guys like, exactly, that whole line, right? And you get guys like, Yater and Kirk. Like you need someone who can keep all those pieces together. Like you need someone that wants to win now, because ultimately to our fans and us as an organization, like I'd be thrilled if D-Raz or Dom or anybody's in the coast next year. I mean, that's phenomenal.
Because
like,
it's flowers. It's basically like it's flowers on you, basically saying we put this together. Not necessarily you and me, but more like Brant bringing in this guy, and they go up there, and you can use that as a, hey, listen, this is what we've done in Binghamton. We don't just win championships; we also promote guys to the coast.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's kind of like, why do people go to Harvard, right? Because you go to Harvard, it's going to be tough, but after that, you're going to go work on Wall Street, or you're going to be a doctor, or you're going to be a high-powered lawyer. So, like,
absolutely,
that's your stepping stone, and it's not because of Harvard, it's because of where you go. So, like, if we can be that place that delivers, like I've always said, I want the years that the players are in Binghamton to be not just, like, great for the career. I want it to be, like, I had some of the best years of my life living in Binghamton. Like, I made connections. I learned this. I learned that. Like I had some good and bad experiences. And I think like, when you're living in that bubble, like I think once they get out of hockey, like sometimes they're going to be like, oh my God, like what I thought was a big deal wasn't a big deal. It was nothing, so like you want them to like experience stuff like that. But good coach, right? That's what we talked about. Yeah. That's very important indeed. Yes, absolutely.
Okay. So Andreas, obviously, the Binghamton Black Bears are working on, they've already won the Empire Division for a third time. They're about to go into the playoffs. They got 6 more games, 3 more weeks, and then the playoffs start. Could you have? Were you able to imagine even just 4 years ago that this would be possible, that you guys would be looking at a third potential championship and being so dominant for so long now?
Could I imagine it? Sure. You always want to, right? You always want to think that you can build a dynasty, but I would say I think I realized like the first, when we made a switch between Gary and Sherwood, like I thought the team was already pretty good because like Gary had recruited a pretty strong team.
Right.
And then Brandt came in and tightened it up. But obviously we had a lot of internal issues like within the group that, I couldn't really see because like as the owner, like you're not going to see that unless it's like super obvious. Right. But he spotted it and it was just kind of like a little bit too late that year. But then when we made all the changes going into like the following, like 24, 25, right?
Yeah.
His first like full year.
Yep.
You could see maybe after, I would say like 15, 20 games. I remember we had a Friday, Saturday homestand with Carolina that had always beat us before. And I remember like we came back from being down by 2 goals, like two late goals from, I think, Connor Smith and Yates, I think. And then we beat them the next night. And I remember like after that game, I remember me and I think, Coach Reynolds was still, with the team then, and me, him and Brandt. I remember like talking to those guys after. And that was when I think I felt like we really have something special here because, we beat this team that's been dominant in the league for, they were in the final, like I think at least 1 or 2 years before that. And we went on to beat like a lot of pretty good teams. So you start to realize like, okay, we have something here. If we can keep this kind of culture in the room, then we can really have something. But like, do you ever envision that you're going to win like 50 games a season in the regular season and then go like, we lost one playoff game last year.
Yeah.
Do you ever imagine it's going to go that way? No, you don't. And you still have that anxiety before every new season because you don't know, like other teams are signing players. If they get guys from the outside, like they're not fed players or guys that we can easily see what they've done elsewhere. Like you don't know, like all of a sudden another team could pop up and be really good. And, this year we're definitely seeing like the Southern Division being very competitive, like with, 5 teams that are all like pretty good. I think PD are a lot better than, the standings are. And, obviously Athens and Monroe throughout the season have been really good. Especially, obviously Athens been a little better, but both are good teams. So like, I think it sucks, but like it doesn't suck. It's a blessing. But like when you're the one that's being hunted, where every game is Super Bowl for the opponent and where every team wants to hallucinate a rivalry with the Black Bears and where they wake up and fall asleep and spend all their time obsessing over the Black Bears, like at some point, that, everyone's constantly trying to get you and you're just always trying to stay ahead of that. And, luckily for us, like Scherzy's done it. And, we've been incredibly good at, if Kirk's been injured or we've been missing, whoever, we've always been able to come through with the next player, which is like, I think the big strength that we have. Like if you look at most teams, they're incredibly they're pretty top heavy. Like they have a lot of money and a lot of whatever invested in their top players. But then after that, it drops off. Well, we don't, like you could take almost anybody out. And we have had pretty much anybody out of the lineup, but we're still being good. And I think like because of the way that he's built this team, like we've been able to so far stay ahead. But you're going to a best of 3 in the playoffs. It's pretty nerve wracking. Like I feel great about our chances of winning, but it doesn't mean that I'm not going to sweat it.
No, absolutely. Congratulations. I think somebody like myself who's gotten to know you, talked to you, interviewed you, had conversations with you, I know where your mind is at. I know where your heart is at, and I mean that in the greatest of ways, because you have multiple businesses, and the way you go about those businesses allows you to be able to own them without sacrificing what is best for each business. So sincerely from, the bottom of my heart, congratulations on doing this. I know it's going to be a success, even if it takes a half a year, a full year, or even 2 years or 3 years. I know that this is something that you can build into something that is very similar to like the Black Bears, which works well for you and for your businesses. So congratulations. And thank you very much for giving us some time. I'm sure that I'm probably the one media member that you probably talked to the longest today, which I do.
By about 45 minutes, yeah. But
yeah.
I as soon as I knew we were doing the conference, that's why I wanted to go on your show, because that's the best way for me, short of me doing my own live video thing, which I don't think even would have the same reach. Like, this is the best way for me to reach out to primarily the Black Bear fans, but also like other people that listen to your show. So it's great, because I knew that it was obviously going to set off like a bit of a what's going on here type thing, and that's normal, right? I mean, you're a businessman. You understand that on every single walk of life, you want to be as positive and half glass is only half full, right? Versus half empty, right? That mindset. But that there's going to be people out there that are just going to ask questions, and this is the best way for you to be able to answer some of those questions. I didn't hold back. I don't think there's anything that I didn't. And you and I had a conversation, and you never said, don't ask me this, don't ask me this, don't ask me this. You've never done that. You've allowed me to kind of really present any question I want towards you. And that's, again, I think you're going to be a success down there, just like you're a success here. You have 2 soccer teams. I think you own half of London, but whatever. That's fine as well. I'm just kidding. I don't think you own anything in London, do you? No, not.
You don't have a flat there? You don't have a flat there to go vacation?
No, we actually lived over there for like 10 years. So
did you really?
But not anymore. Yeah. I lived for. Came back to the U.S. in like 2013, I would say. But yeah, we were there for like 8 or 9 years or something. Wow. So yeah, it was. Oh yeah, we spent a long time over there, and then came back over here. That's a different story.
That's another story for another time.
Dennis Rodman. Yeah, that was a very different time in my life. But no, man, I appreciate you putting this on and everything you do to cover the Black Bears and our team, and I know other teams too. If they wish to have somebody with this kind of coverage and knowledge, and not just rambling on about referees and stuff all the time. So like,
you want to talk about the referees? We can talk about the referees.
We can if you want.
No. I'm kidding.
I'll talk about anything. I mean, knock on wood. Hey, I mean, it's been better, I think, this year in terms of a lot of things, right? But
yeah, absolutely.
I know we're not allowed to talk about how it's been in the past, so we shouldn't talk about that. But I appreciate you having me on.
Andreas, thank you very much, and good luck. And I can't wait to see you in a couple weeks, whether it's, I don't know when you're going to be back at the arena, but when you're back at the arena.
Friday night, man. I'll be back up this week for the games.
Oh, perfect. Well, then we'll see you then. Obviously, you'll be up in the box, and you can come down and say hello or whatever. But it was great to talk to you, and we'll talk to you real soon.
Absolutely. All right. Thank you so much.
And we'll be right back right after this, right here on the Power Play Post Show.
If you're a Binghamton hockey fan, then you need to check out binghamtonhockey.net for all your news, stats, information, the Binghamton Hockey Hall of Fame, top 10 lists, profiles, and so much more. That's binghamtonhockey.net. You're listening to the Power Play Post Show.
And welcome back, everybody, to the Power Play Post Show. Yes, I was making Taylor laugh in the background there just as we were coming back to the show, but that was Andreas Johansson. And of course, we were talking, obviously, about the Mid-South Pro Hockey team that he's now part owner of, and they're going to do a Name the Team contest over the next couple weeks. The Landers Center is going to be where they're going to play, and they've even already got season tickets. You could go buy season tickets right now. If you want to spend half the time in Binghamton, half the time in Memphis, you could go buy season tickets right now with that team. So let's talk a little bit more about the interview. You touched upon it a little bit before the interview actually happened at the beginning of the show. I don't want you to pat my back again or whatever. But you really felt that the interview was the right interview at the right time with Andreas in this situation.
Oh yeah, 100%. And patting your back or not, it definitely, even Andreas, he talked to you like a week ago about, he wanted to do this with you. He wanted to come out and have this interview with you, to put it out there for the fans. And that alone already tells me like how much Andreas truly cares about the fan base, is that he's not just doing this and he's not, saying anything to the fans here in Binghamton. He's had this in motion. He's done all the right things. He did, the press conference today, and then he immediately turned around and did an interview with you to talk to the fans in Binghamton, to let them know, like, you have absolutely nothing to worry about. Like, this is what's going on. Yeah. This is what I truly do. Like, this is like, he has his hand in so many pots, and he's able to do that. Like, he has the financial backing to do the things that he does. Again, if you Google his name, you'll understand. And even if, after listening to the interview, like, the amount of stuff that he does just shows that he has the ability to do these things and what he has built here in Binghamton. So I truly think, and it's why I absolutely love this interview, and I'm like so happy that I was able to listen to it before talking to you on the show. It's a longer interview than you probably normally do, and I think it's so deserved every minute of that.
Perfect.
What you guys talk about, the things that you guys bring up, it definitely, for me, it definitely showed how much Andreas truly cares about the fans here in Binghamton and what they mean to the team here in Binghamton.
Yeah, I just want to say that I posted my little press conference thoughts YouTube video that I did, 6 minutes. I can tell you right now, Taylor and I are working on a plan to bring a 30-minute YouTube show of the Power Play Post Show together, where you're going to see us kind of debate and talk about certain things. And this was just me starting to test the software and get into that mode. And we're going to create some graphics, nice graphic package to go with that as well. I posted that, and one of the interesting things that I saw in there was, first of all, the likes and the hearts that people put out there, which was very, very cool. I really appreciate that. First of all, Suzanne Johansson, I think, is Andreas's wife, so she doesn't count, like, because she's supposed to like that. You liking my video is great, but you liking your husband doing that, I think that's okay. But I saw MJ Merkel, assistant coach of the Danbury Hat Tricks, liked the video. So obviously he likes the fact that there is Andreas is doing something like this, because I think what people need to understand, everything that we've done today is not about me. It's not about Taylor. It's not even about the Black Bears. It's about the betterment of the FPHL. And having a guy like Andreas instead of a guy like Barry Soskin, who owned half the team and bankrupt half the league, or he owned half the league and almost bankrupt half the league at the same time, and almost destroyed hockey in multiple cities. And luckily he didn't do that in Port Huron and in Twin Cities, or in Winston-Salem, where the Thunderbirds play, right? We have a guy who does things the right way. And I'm not just trying to toot his horn because I want another interview. He doesn't pay me any money. Guys, I don't make anything from these guys. So again, I want you to understand, I truly believe this. So to have a guy like MJ Merkel, Mason Esworthy, who is the assistant coach, and his parents own part of the team down in Roanoke, right? Mason Esworthy, who was the video coach for the Black Bears the last couple years. There were some really interesting people that liked that. But I also want to talk about some of the comments. Gene Wells writes, how about a team near us? Okay, Gene, if you can find the city to put the team in, we'll do it. And literally,
that will make profit.
and Andreas even said in the interview, if you could find a team in the Northeast, that an arena that he could put a team in, he'll do it. You remember?
Yeah, he sat there and talked about, he reached out to Albany and there's no interest. He reached out to this person, there's no interest. He would have loved Elmira, But it's just, you have to have a certain market for it. You have to be able to, he even talked about, Elmira was getting fans and they weren't even promoting the team.
Right.
So he's like, there's definitely something there. It's just, is it the right time? Is it the right, like,
exactly.
A lot of things have to fall into place. And it's one of those things where you can't just, if you just up and put a team somewhere, sure, it might be okay for that season, but look what happened with HC Venom last year. They got moved and pushed around, and all of these things happened to them, and then they ended up folding at the end of the season. Like, it was it was a rough season for them. And that, I feel like that's what happens when you just bring a team on and you don't have the actual backing or the arena or anything else figured out. You just, oh, well, I bought a team, I'm going to put them here, and we'll figure it out as we go.
Which you
that's
can't
not
do.
Exactly. You have to have things figured out before you bring somebody on.
Right.
And that's exactly what Andreas does. He brings on the right people because you need players that are going to play for your team.
Yeah.
And as you put it, they have to play for the coach.
Yeah.
That's what it comes down to, is they have to love who they are playing for if you want to have a successful team.
People don't understand. I've said this multiple times in my lifetime. Players don't play for the city. They don't play for the fans. When you win a championship, they play for the coach. If you don't like the coach, you don't play for him. You don't buy into his systems. You don't buy into anything. And it's that way in the NFL, the NHL, the NBA, the MLB. I don't care. It's like that in the AHL. You can have.
There's a great picture that represents that beautifully, and I don't remember if it was last season or the first season we won the championship.
Mm-hmm.
And it is of Brant Sherwood and Connor McAnanima, and the hug. I think somebody else is it Don? Somebody else is in the picture too, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But the hug that they are giving Brant Sherwood just shows that they were playing for him.
It's not.
We're not saying that they don't play for the fans and they don't do things for the fans, but they have to love who they are playing for as their coach.
Right.
That's why you are getting the performances that you are getting out of these players, because they love Brant Sherwood. And these guys, look, if you go back to last season when Connor McAnanima wasn't dressed and he was in the stands with Brant Sherwood, and there was that scrum, the issue between him and Herm at the end of the game.
Yeah.
And there was, Herm was trying to basically kick him. I don't know what was happening, but Connor was standing there like the bodyguard that he was. He was a bouncer. At last season.
Yeah.
And he was standing there like fully ready to, like, if something were to happen, he was going to get Brant out of there safely.
Yeah.
Like, that's what these players would do.
Right.
They all know that Brant would go to bat for anybody on this team, and anybody on this team would go to bat for Brant.
Now,
and that's what it comes down to.
And who hired Brant?
Exactly.
Andreas. Now, Andreas hired 3 head coaches for his team here in Binghamton in the last 5 years. The first one was Rod Davidson. Rod Davidson won a championship in the ECHL in the 90s. Okay, so he's got credentials. Gary Gill comes in. Gary Gill has been successful in junior hockey and didn't last, had personal issues, had to leave. Then he brings in Brant Sherwood. Now, Brant Sherwood credentials, even Brant Sherwood would say, I ain't got credentials. I mean, I played in the SPHL. I was not that great of a player and whatnot. But he's now won 2 championships. So Andreas knows what he's doing, okay? And he knows how to hire the right people and to bring them in. With that being said, another person commented saying, and this is from Chuck Williams, and I'm only calling people out in the sense of, you're asking questions, and these are fine questions to ask. I have no problem with this. He says, can he own both teams? Well, first of all, let me tell everybody this. In the FPHL, in the AHL, in the ECHL, and the SPHL, there is no rules, unlike in the NHL, where you can't win or can't own more than one team. So, yes, he can own both teams. And I think he's the one guy in this league right now that has the capacity to do it and be successful at it. Okay, so that's one question I wanted to get out of the way there. And then Chuck Hurl says he shouldn't be allowed. It's a conflict of interest. Now, I understand, and I think Andreas actually said in the interview, he's right. Kind of is a conflict of interest. But what are you going to do? I mean, you need this league to be strong and healthy. And one of the ways you do that is by having a good ownership group in each and every city. Now, Brant Sherwood's not going to do what Barry Soskin did and own 6 teams, but he could certainly do 2 teams and be successful at it and not hurt anything there. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do. And for like, in my opinion, I don't think it's going to be a conflict of interest for the fact that Andreas is very much, he's limited himself to the amount of time that he's at the arena because of, he's got a lot going on in his life between, all the other things that he does. He's had family issues this year, just everything else that he has done.
Yeah.
He really lets, the front office and everybody up there do their thing and really lets Brant do his thing that, I wouldn't be surprised if he spends a lot of time this next season down there getting this team ready, getting,
help him.
Getting everything set up and running. But he did that in Binghamton too. He was here. He was getting the people in the office. He was getting, Brant Sherwood coming in. He was getting everything that is so successful in Binghamton and the way that it is run started with Andreas doing what he does. So do I see him doing that next season where he's down there and he's getting that team ready to go? Absolutely. But we can survive without him up here. And he's proven that. He's like, I haven't been to a game in, X amount of time. I haven't, we haven't been around. It's been 3 months. It's been whatever. He's like, I really like, if Brant wants to do something, he does it. And whether it's, he brought in a player, so now you got to pay him, or he's, making a trade that never happens. Even Andreas was like, he doesn't ever make trades. And it's so true. We talk about it all the time. Yeah. And then this is the one season where he actually does. And everyone's like, we sat here talking about it. He actually made a trade for somebody.
So one of the go ahead.
You're good.
So there's that. The other one I wanted to bring up was Tommy James. Now, Tommy James is one of the biggest pains in the asses of any Binghamton hockey fan that I've ever met in my life. He's never happy about anything. I think even when the Sens won the Cup in 2011 and probably even the last 2 years when the Black Bears have won the Cup, he's just nothing but a big pain in the ass. He knows he is. I'll tell him that all day long. But he's still a good Binghamton hockey fan, always has been. I know that's a contradiction of what I just said, but he is a big pain in the ass. He says, so does this mean he'll be dropping us like he dropped Watertown? I did reply back to that, and it says, no, he's planning on running both teams. And then he said, don't believe it. We'll be sold within a year. Tommy, I'll take you up on that bet. He's not going to be selling us. I can guarantee you Binghamton, as the cash cow that they are, is not going anywhere when it comes to Andreas Johansson.
Yeah, some people, I don't know. This is earlier today when I got to listen to the interview, and I had I told Jeremy that I was going to be unhinged for this episode just because, I've seen, and again, a lot of people are supportive, which is awesome. That's the kind of stuff you want to see. And I do get, to an extent, some of the worry or some of the fears because, he was the owner in Watertown, then he came to Binghamton, and then he dropped Watertown. They're two completely different things. Watertown at the end of the season is always a loss. It doesn't matter who you are as the owner. It's going to be a loss because they do not have the capacity, the fan base. They don't have the stuff that we are so spoiled here in Binghamton to have. They don't have that in Watertown. So at the end of the year, it's a loss no matter what.
Yeah.
That's not the case for Binghamton. As you just put it, it's a cash cow.
Yeah, it is.
Truly is. Binghamton is a hockey town, has always been a hockey town, will probably always be a hockey town, no matter what kind of, league is in here. It's going to be a hockey town of some sort. And so it kind of like blows my mind that, some people kind of look at this and they're like, oh, well, he did this to Watertown, so he's going to do it to Binghamton. No, look at what he's built here in Binghamton. He had championships in Watertown. That did happen in Watertown, but also look at the way that Watertown has gone.
Yeah.
It doesn't get better every year. It doesn't. It's always a loss. It's always at the end of the year. If you look at the number, it's going to be red. If you look at Binghamton, it's always green. And they keep getting better. I don't know how. We keep talking about it, and I don't know what Brant Sherwood is doing in that locker room. Well, but it keeps getting better.
Well, we're talking also about another game that's going to be sold out. That's going to be, 10 or 11? And when you're talking
and
about
at the beginning of the season, you were so worried about the schedule. You're like, we don't have a lot of home games at the end of the year, so it's going to be really tough to beat last season's attendance record. And our attendance can't keep going up. At some point, it's going to flatline. And it keeps getting better. And it's so crazy, like how this season has gone.
Here's what I'm gonna say. If you are happy for Andreas, great, be happy for Andreas. If you're worried about the Binghamton Black Bears, be worried about the Binghamton Black Bears. But I'm telling you right now, everything's going to be fine. Andreas is not going into this with like, oh, crap, I'm going to just take all the money from Binghamton. Every one of his organizations and businesses that he owns, and this is the important thing to take away from all of this, take away from the interview, take away from what me and Taylor are saying. When Andreas starts a business, he finds a way to make the business be self-sustaining. Right now, Binghamton does make money, but it's self-sustaining 100%. He doesn't put any extra money in that he has to run the business. He doesn't have to do that. He also doesn't have to take money out of the sports teams, as he said in the interview. So, and of course, listen, I get it. There are going to be some very skeptical people out there because we've heard lies from owners all through sports, all through history. That's just typical. But Andreas doesn't have anything to really lie about here. He's doing, the Black Bears are doing good. And I think he's walking into a situation where he thinks he can make it work down there in Memphis. So I think we're going to be fine next year.
Yeah. And I'm kind of going to pick on somebody a little bit right here, but if all of this makes you not buy jerseys at the jersey auctions, that's perfectly fine by me, because maybe now I have a better chance of getting some more.
But you guys pick and choose. You guys definitely pick and choose. For the most part, it's usually whatever he wants.
Because I'm usually like, man, I really like this person, and then he goes in there and he's like, well, they came out first and we won the bid or whatever. I'm like, okay.
All right. So
I could probably go with like 10 of those guys. I take one of everyone. All
right, Taylor,
even the pot there.
We have not talked about enough yet who we're playing this weekend.
Oh, at least it's not Watertown.
That's
Which
true.
is funny, because you used to get really sick of Watertown, and then I think it was on Sunday when we talked about playing Danbury. I don't remember if we were recording it or not. You're like, oh man, we played Danbury so many more times. So now you're upset about Danbury.
This is true. Well, let's preview it.
So we're previewing the home and home series versus the Danbury Hat Tricks this weekend. This will be the 13th and 14th time games between the Black Bears and the Hat Tricks.
Boo.
Friday night, which will be a sellout, be played in Binghamton.
Yes.
Saturday night will be played in Danbury.
Not a sellout.
If you're gonna ask me, I'm not gonna. Well, at least I don't think we're gonna be there. We're doing our daughter's party that day, so it wouldn't surprise me if we somehow managed, but I don't think we're going.
5th birthday, right?
Yes. Yeah.
5. Wow.
Her birthday was technically the 11th, but he, wanted to go racing the weekend of that, and then they canceled racing. So,
and I dragged
pushed
you on
off her birthday.
And on her birthday, I dragged you to the arena for like 5 hours.
Yeah, that worked out so well, because I'd already talked to my mom about going to her school thing, and it worked out beautifully. We met, my mom after the school thing met us at Denny's, because it's somehow my daughter's favorite place to go. Even though if you order the kids mac and cheese, which is my daughter's favorite meal, it is just Kraft mac and cheese, and somehow it's better at Denny's for some reason. It's her favorite place to go, and she gets Kraft mac and cheese, and so that's what we did for her birthday.
Awesome.
But yeah, we're actually doing her. It's really funny is we're actually going to Sky Zone, because they promote it so much at Binghamton that we're gonna do a birthday party there. So,
All right, back to Danbury.
The Black Bears are 11-0-1 against the Hat Tricks this season. At home, the Black Bears have won 6 of the 7 games, and in Danbury, they have won all 5 games they have played. The Black Bears have scored 66 goals against the Hat Tricks, and they have only given up 24 goals. The Hat Tricks are 5th in the Empire Division with a 22-23-5 record, 67 points, and they have scored 168 goals and have allowed 181. The Black Bears are first in the Empire Division with a 43-5-2 record, 128 points, scoring 266 goals, and only allowing 114 goals. Last weekend, the Hat Tricks defeated the Watertown Wolves in a 2-game set in Watertown. On Friday, the Hat Tricks won 5-1. Jordan Crum and rookie forward Grady Friedman both scored 2 goals in the game. On Saturday, the Hat Tricks won the game 3-1, where Grady Friedman scored his 3rd professional goal in just 2 games. The Black Bears played 2 games last weekend in Columbus, Indiana, and defeated the Sentinels in both games, sweeping the season series, winning all 6 games. On Friday night, the Black Bears defeated the Sentinels 6-0, the 3rd straight shutout for Dominic Tomei over the Sentinels. On Saturday night, the Black Bears won again, but by the score of 4-1, with Garrett Sargis, Zach Sirota, Austin Durazio, and CJ Stubbs getting goals. Dyson Skinner made his debut with the Black Bears in the 4-1 win.
Yeah, I think what was interesting, you watched the Tully's Good Time show on Tuesday, correct?
Yeah.
Brant Sherwood was way too honest about Indiana and the situation there, I think, in my opinion. I'm hoping the league did not hear what he said.
I don't think the league's paying too much attention to Brant this year. He's been pretty, on the down low. Yeah. I think they have other concerns throughout the league they got to worry about. I don't think Brant's on their radar, which is weird to kind of say. But yeah, I don't think Brant's on their radar.
Probably not. All right. The Hat Tricks are led by Anton Rupsov, 38 games played. He's got 20 goals, 20 assists for 40 points, 2 power play goals, 1 shorthanded goal, and 3 game-winning goals. Eli Rivers, who hasn't played many of the games with Danbury, has played 47 games this season, 18 goals, 22 assists for 40 points, 3 power play goals, and 2 game-winning goals. And Konstantin Chernuk, 46 games played most of those in Watertown. 5 goals, 28 assists, and 33 points with 2 power play goals. And I'm guessing Kyle Penton's going to get one of the 2 games at least. He's 13-1 with a 3.03 goals against average and a 918 save percentage. And he does have 1 shutout on the season. Now, I'll be honest with you. There's a part of me that's kind of rooting for Kyle Penton to finish with a winning record. He's one of those goaltenders that we've kind of watched this season. And I haven't seen really like a ton of bad games from him. I haven't seen a ton of outstanding games. But when you look at that record and you go, wait a second here, on a team that is not going to make the playoffs, he's got almost a 3.00 goals against average. His save percentage is 918, which is impressive. He's got a shutout. And he's almost got a winning record there. I mean, right now he's got a winning record, right? 14-13-1 is technically a winning record. His winning percentage would be at least like 507 or 5011, something like that, right? Because he does have the 1 overtime loss, which means they get a point and they count points as really the winning percentage. I'm kind of rooting for him a little bit because I think he's had a pretty decent season on a bad team.
Yeah, I mean, I get what you're saying, but I don't root for anybody against the Black Bears.
I'm not saying
it's possible.
I'm not saying I want him to beat the Black Bears. I'm saying by the end of the season.
That's the hard part, is because
they do play us a lot.
There isn't that many games left in the season, right. And a lot of them are against the Hat Tricks.
All right, I take back.
So I think it's going to be a little rough for Kyle Penton, but I do see what you're saying, and it's definitely, the goalies definitely have the hardest position
in this league.
And especially against the Black Bears. I mean, half the time they're firing off 50 shots, so they're definitely putting the work in for those poor guys.
You're right.
But I definitely get it, and if anything, I think the Black Bears have really helped every goalie they have faced, because every goalie that we have faced have made phenomenal saves against the Black Bears. Like, there have been times where the uproar that happens in the arena is just hysterical. And, I always sit on, we sit on the end and we're that close, and it's, people start cheering and clapping or jump up, and, there's a lot of hooting and hollering that happens when there's a goal and they make a save, or, it hits a crossbar or something.
Yeah.
So, I definitely get what you're saying, but yeah, it's probably not going to happen. We faced them, I think, 4 more times.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
probably not going to happen. All right.
Yeah.
The Black Bears are led by CJ Stubbs, 48 games played, 38 goals, 52 assists for 90 points. We talked about this already. 12 power play goals, 5 shorthanded goals, and 9 game-winning goals. Now, he needs 10 points to get to 100 with 6 games left. His projection with how many points per game he usually gets is 101. So it'll be very interesting. We'll keep a close track on whether or not he could be the first Binghamton Black Bears player to hit 100 points. Now, on the flip side, Ivan Bondarenko, in 50 games played, he's played all games right now for the Black Bears. 17 goals, 72 assists. He's already got that franchise record right there, 72 assists for 89 points, 3 power play goals, 1 shorthanded goal, 1 game-winning goal. He needs 11 points to get to 100 with 6 games left. Right now, his projection is 99.8, or I guess we could round that up to 100. So both players, if they play to what they've done all season long, both players could potentially hit 100 points. And Taylor, I'm sorry, that's just impressive, having 2 players hit 100 points.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And it's something that if you had looked at the beginning of the season, you probably could have even guessed that that's what they were going to do with just how well they've done.
Yeah.
And I mean, for a while there, Bondarenko went, scoreless for when did he come on the show? When was that?
Oh, I'd have to go back and look, but yeah, you're right. No, he went scoreless, and then after the show,
yeah, he had a dry spell for a while, and I wondered, I don't know why that would have happened, but
it's not because of us. I play no role in whether or not they can score a goal or get an assist or get a win or get a save. Nothing I say on this show has anything to do with the Black Bears winning or losing.
I don't know. We kind of had a conversation about it after the Saturday game when we didn't get another shutout. And
Taylor, you ask any player the next time you see them, you say, do you believe in superstitions?
I did ask players. I asked Wyatt, and he agreed with me.
All right. Well, he's wrong.
Bondarenko didn't agree with me, but we're not going to talk about that one.
See? Well,
I think it was Bondarenko.
Yeah, I think it was Bondarenko. So very interesting. All right. So Dominic.
Next time I see the players, I'll take a tally and see if anybody has superstitions about that kind of stuff.
Let's ask Jacob Shankar whether or not he thinks anything I say on this show has any effect on the games at all. I don't think so.
I think that'll be a great question for Tub Time. I think that's perfect conversation right there.
Okay. Gavin Yates, 41 games played, 24 goals, 38 assists for 62 points, 8 power play goals, 2 game-winning goals. And Dominic Tomei, 25, 2-1 with a 1.95 goals against average. Right now, if that stays where it is, that could be a single season franchise record for the Binghamton Black Bears. And who would have thunk that with how good Connor McAnanama has been in his career with the Binghamton Black Bears. 928 save percentage also could be a career or a single season record as well. 6 shutouts, which is already the single season franchise record. Dominic Tomei's had a great season. And on the special teams, Binghamton, power play ranked second still, 73 power play goals, which is number 1 in the league. Their ranking is based on the percentage. They're at 26%. The PK is ranked first with 27 power play goals against and an 89%, and that is number 1. Danbury power play is ranked 12th, only 2 teams behind them with being so inefficient on the power play. 33 power play goals and 14% conversion rate. And on the PK, they are ranked 5th, 41 power play goals against and an 82% percentage. Okay, so that's it. We're done with that. Thank God. We're done with the preview. Let's go to the fun part of the show. Taylor, it is time for the 11x14 poster giveaway. Please tell the fans this special code phrase for this week.
It is rabbit stew.
I love it. Okay, fans, if you are the 20th person to message Taylor on Facebook with the special code phrase
rabbit stew,
you will win.
You really left me hanging there because normally you say it the second time. That was a long pause.
I do. You will win an 11x14 poster of your choice. The winner gets to choose from any current Black Bears player and will deliver the poster at an upcoming home game. Send in the special code phrase, and thank you for listening to the Power Play Post Show. Again, if you're the 20th person to message Taylor on Facebook with the special code phrase Rabbit Stew, you will win an 11x14 player poster. And I know this has been probably one of the more fun things that we've done in the last 2 months is give away these posters. It's been a great time.
Yeah, it definitely has been. It's been fun to meet a lot of the fans and even to kind of talk to the players and, get to see them sign it, and the fans that have sent pictures of them, getting not only their signature, but just the picture with the player and the poster. It's been so much fun.
It has. It has. All right, folks, that's it. That's it. That's the show. We're cutting it right there. We're done. No more. Andreas bought another team. Get over it if you're not happy about it. Be happy for him if you're happy for him, because I'm happy for him. And I'm just going to say it flat out. I'm very happy for him. All right. And I know Taylor is. Taylor, you're happy for him, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, this does not affect the Black Bears in any way, shape, or form.
Although, now I've got an owner of another team. If I want to get a player or two, that should be an easy phone call for me, right?
Oh, I'm sure it definitely would be.
Yeah, that's pretty sweet.
You're going to create conflict of interest, man. You're going to start riling.
Conflict of interest. Bob's talking to somebody on another team. Oh my God, it's horrible.
Like you haven't done that before.
Right. Exactly. All right.
You love Will Wiggleman, and he's,
oh yeah,
that team, man.
Yeah, he's on that team. And I got picked on for bringing on Chris Mott. Even one of the Binghamton Black Bears players picked on me. He goes, I see you had Motter on the show. What's up with that? And I'm like, that's awesome. It's like, I'll take that. I'll take that ribbon a little bit. That's good. It's good stuff. All right. The Power Play Post is available on all major podcast platforms, including Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Pocket Cast, YouTube, Amazon Music, and iHeartRadio. Just search Power Play Post Show on your favorite app, and don't forget to subscribe. It's important. We keep telling you that. Keep doing it. Join the conversation on Facebook. Search Power Play Post Show and become part of our community. I just accepted somebody while we were recording the show to be in the Facebook group. So thank you very much. Looking for everything Binghamton Hockey? Visit binghamtonhockey.net. Thank you to Rob LaPolis, our MC, John Petitucci, our music director, and the owner of the Binghamton Black Bears and the Mid-South Pro Hockey team, Andreas Johansson. I am Bob Howard. She is
Taylor Welch.
And we'll talk to you guys next time right here on the Power Play Post Show.
Thanks for listening to this edition of the Power Play Post Show. Be sure to tune in next week to the Box Studios Radio Network for all the latest Black Bears news and interviews from around minor league hockey. The Power Play Post Show would like to thank John Patitucci for all the music you hear on the show. You've been listening to the Power Play Post Show.